Hey everyone, Jared back again, and in this video I'll be giving you my review and opinion of the Samsung Galaxy camera. Now before we get started, I want to get something out of the way. What you need to remember is that although this is running the Android OS, it is still a camera, and any expectations you may have of what an Android device should and shouldn't feature should be dropped right now. Again, this is a camera, not a smartphone, and shouldn't be looked at as one. Now, the Samsung Galaxy camera is, in all respects, much like a traditional point-and-shoot camera. Or is it? Now, the reason I say that is because I don't know of too many traditional point-and-shoot cameras that pack a massive 4.8-inch HD LCD display with a pixel density of 306, let alone running Android 4.1.1 to give it that customizable edge. Not to mention the ability that I think a lot of other reviewers have forgotten to mention to download other camera applications right from the Google Play Store. Now you add that ability with the 16 megapixels, the incredible 23mm 21 times optical zoom lens, and we truly have something potentially amazing on our hands. So let's touch briefly on the size, weight, and form factor. A lot of you may have noticed that many point-and-shoot cameras are actually quite flat, small, and as such, lightweight. Now the Galaxy camera is certainly none of the aforementioned. It's a little bulkier than some would prefer. It's certainly considerably heavier than some would prefer. But let's keep in mind one thing. This isn't exactly an average point-and-shoot camera. Considering its price point, which is in and around $500 to $550 depending on where you shop, and all the functions and features of which I think perform quite well, it's in my opinion pretty acceptable. Alright, time to dive into the features. So aside from its obvious dedicated ability to take great photos, it also doubles as a surprisingly great camcorder that can record video at 1080p and at up to 120 frames per second. Now if you're interested, I'll link to some test videos I've recorded and posted here on YouTube, but I can tell you right now that not only is the image extremely sharp and high quality thanks to its internal components and its amazing optical image stabilization, but the audio quality has far exceeded my expectations. I don't know if it's a hardware thing or part of the software, but when in situations where it gets a bit windy, you won't even notice in the final product. Alright, now onto the camera side of things. Since I'm no camera professional, I was really pleased to see the large amount of auto features that Samsung has packed into this amazing little device. Simply leaving it set to auto mode and then tapping on the mode button and then select smart, you'll be presented with some quite handy options that I can see the large majority of people using. Some of the features that I think would be most used include continuous shooting, macro which performs extremely well, action freeze for those moments you want to capture something that's moving quickly, silhouette and night which combines pictures to achieve a much brighter and clearer end result. But then we get into expert mode, and this is where Samsung has really impressed me. With the tap of a button, what looks to be a DSLR looking lens image pops out from the side of the screen, where you can control the ISO, exposure, aperture, and shutter speed. Oh, and it also has manual exposure control for the camcorder, but that's about it. And with all the manual control they give you over the photo side of the camera, it would have been nice to see the same manual controls for video as well, but I suppose we can't always have our cake and eat it too. Shame. So in a sense, the Samsung Galaxy camera is actually in a strange but exciting new camera niche in that it carries functions much like a DSLR with its on-screen manual DSLR-like controls, but also keeps it simple for folks like me, where those smart features would come in extremely handy and make me feel like a pro, even though I'm far from it. And if you don't have a tripod with you to mount onto the bottom of the camera, once you have pressed the shutter button, aside from focusing the image stabilization kicks in and you don't have to worry about freehanding it because it will do all the anti-shaky hand syndrome work for you, which I, for one, am in love with. And did I mention the images that you take come out extremely, and I say again, extremely crisp and clear, especially when previewed on that gorgeous 4.8-inch HD LCD display. Now, some of you may be wondering about the camera's flash ability. Well, it does have one, but it's not auto, and that was a huge bummer for me. It actually took me a few moments to realize that, oh, I actually have to press the flash button on the left side of the camera to enable it. And if you think about it, if traveling and place it into a backpack or whatever when moving and exploring, Even when the camera is completely turned off, if that button gets accidentally pressed, the flash pops out and risks being broken or snapped off, which is a bit of a flag for me, seeing as replacing those parts isn't exactly cheap, nor possible to do by average users such as myself. Now, touching base on the fact that this camera is running a mobile OS such as Android, it's actually pretty cool and handy. You've got the ability to auto-tag your photos with their geolocation, the ability to quickly upload your photos and videos to any cloud storage service and photo sharing service out there, as well as a seemingly infinite way of editing said photos and videos thanks to access to all the apps on the Google Play Store. But then I have to ask myself, what about the folks that aren't exactly Android savvy? Could this possibly be a potential downside? Now, although Android doesn't require a rocket scientist to operate, I certainly can't see grandparents using this camera and trying to navigate all the menus and settings that come with Android, let alone all the customization options that Android gives us. So does that mean that maybe there's a bit of a smaller demographic for this point-and-shoot camera? Much like the DSLR camera community? Well, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But all in all, I think for the moderate to very technically inclined demographic out there, the Samsung Galaxy camera is truly worth its price. You know, you've got a camera with a massive display to preview all of your photos and videos, fantastic auto and expert functions and features, considerably high-end internal chips like the Exynos quad-core CPU clocked at 1.4 GHz and 1 GB of RAM to fuel it, a SIM slot so that you can stay connected even when you're not around a Wi-Fi connection, an HDMI out port, and expandable storage. And storage is something to take note of. It only comes with 4 GB of onboard storage, and about 1 GB of that is actually used to house the operating system. So purchasing a micro SD card is a must. So the question is this something you should consider buying when taking into consideration its price point and its class? Yeah, I think so, but there's something you need to think about first. If you're going to be comparing this camera with others within the same price point, you will find that you'll most likely get an overall better quality camera for just picture taking purposes than you will with the Galaxy camera. And a big part of that has to do with the ability to change lenses on the other cameras, which you can't do on the Galaxy camera. But you also don't have even a fraction of the connectivity and sharing options that the Galaxy camera has, nor the display size, nor will you ever get the same video and audio quality that the Galaxy camera has. Not to mention the ability to access the Google Play Store and download as many photo and video editing apps as you want. So this is certainly one camera that has impressed me and is more than worth consideration when making purchasing decisions. Well folks, that concludes my review and personal opinion of the Samsung Galaxy camera. If you have any further questions about it, feel free to ask them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer based on my limited knowledge of the camera world. Now, if you like this video, I would love it if you could do me the favor of smashing that likes button down below, and maybe consider subscribing for more review videos in the future. You can also stay up to date on all of my future videos by following me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, of which all links can be found in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.